That's against the rules. But while we're waiting to start, could I ask you to please all silence your cell phones? Thank you. I want you all to silence your cell phones as well.
This is the one you gotta worry about.
Yeah, I know. That's the one.
Smartphones. I don't want anything to vibrate. Usually it's like right at the.
I'm going to call the meeting of the Waushara County Board of Supervisors to order. Megan will do roll call.
Mr. Bonfiglio is excused. Mr. Piaski,
Here.
Mr. Tim,
Here.
Mr. Cap, Mr. Eckstein,
Here.
Mr. Weddy,
Here.
Mrs. Collada,
Here.
Mr. King,
Here.
Mr. Peterman,
Here.
Mr. Lauer is excused. Mr. Kirschner.
Here.
All right, thank you. We will stand for silent prayer and pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Motion by Supervisor Weddy, second by Supervisor Eckstein. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we need an approval of the minutes of the March 19th, 2019 monthly meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for March.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Peterman, second by Mr. Tim. Any questions or comments concerning the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Public comments? Okay, we have no public comments. We have no unfinished business. So we are going to move on to new business, and that would be to welcome the Tri-County and Wild Rose students that are here with us today. I appreciate you taking the time to come and learn. I hope you've learned a little bit about county government, and that someday, maybe, I told you this morning, maybe there's a job that you saw that you might want to work at someday. But we appreciate you being here, and hope you had a good time. Next, we have an introduction from the County Board Supervisors. Please let them know what district you represent, the townships in your district, and maybe a little idea of the committees you serve on, how long you've been on the board, that sort of thing. So we'll start with Mr. Piaski.
I'm Mark Piaski. I represent District 2, which includes town of Leon and town of Poisippi. That is villages of Pine River, Poisippi, and Borth in there. It's in the east central part of the county. I've been on the county board for a year now. I've served on the Public Safety Committee, the Land, Water, and Education Committee, Building and Grounds, Commission on Aging, and Land Information Committee. I also serve on Poisippi Library Board, and on 4 Lake District boards.
Thank you very much, Mr. Piaski. Mr. Tim, would you like to go next?
It's good to see so many happy, smiling faces. I guess you're glad to have a day off from school. Or glad that you could be here. My name is Larry Tim. I represent District 3, which includes the town of Bloomfield, the town of Saxville, and a portion of the town of Leon. I've been on the board off and on since the early 1900s. Not 1900, well, 1990s, I should say, not 1900s. Seems that way sometimes. Way before most of you were probably born.
Me too.
I serve on the Board of Adjustment from the zoning office. As you know, there are rules and regulations that you have to follow when you're putting a building or expanding a building on your property. You have to stay so many feet away from the lot line, so many feet away from the water, if it's got a waterfront, so many feet away from the roadway, and things like that. And sometimes people ask for a variance, which is an exception to the rule. It may be because the lot is very hilly, or there's other factors involved, it's narrow lot or whatever, and they can't easily follow the rules. So they ask for a variance, and our board has to decide whether or not to grant that exception or that variance. We go out and look at the properties, and also hold a public hearing so that if any of the neighbors are objecting to what's going to be done, or it's going to affect the neighbor's property, they have a right to put in their feelings as well. And then finally, we vote on it and make a decision as to whether we grant that exception or not. Sometimes we grant them, sometimes we don't. We basically look at whether it's really a hardship to the property owner, and whether they're just asking for it for their convenience. I also serve on the East Central Regional Planning Commission, which is a group of leaders from 8 different area counties in central Wisconsin, in which we discuss problems that affect all the counties, and to try to come up with some solutions that would make things better for those counties as a whole, or this region as a whole. I serve on the library committee, county library committee, because the county helps to support all of the local libraries in the county. And I serve on the Pine River Library Board, which is in the town of Leon. I also serve on the Buildings and Grounds Committee and on the Board of Health. And I represent Sheriff County on the Tri-County Regional Economic Development Committee, in which we make loans to small businesses to help them get started or to expand or whatever. That's about all I have to say. Again, I welcome all of you here and hope you had a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Tim. Supervisor Eckstein.
I agree with Larry with seeing all your smiley faces. In the 1990 census, we were large enough to have another position on the county board, and so I ran for office and got elected and have been serving ever since. I served the town of Springwater, part of the town of Rose. I'm chair of the Public Works Committee, I'm chair of the Board of Health, I'm on the Commission on Aging, I'm on Public Safety, I'm on the Personnel Committee, and I represent the Patterson Memorial Library.
Thank you, Mr. Eckstein. Mr. Weddy.
I'm Dennis Weddy. I represent the citizens of the District 6 of the county. District 6 is composed of Wards 1 and 2 of the town of Marion. Wards 1 and 2 of the town of Mount Morris, and Ward 3 of the town of Watoma. There are approximately 2,200 citizens living in my district. I first ran successfully as on the Waushara County Board as a write-in candidate in the year 2000 when I retired from teaching. And I've served the county as a supervisor for the last 19 years. As a responsible county officials, we are faced with challenging tasks of understanding various county issues and implementing complex programs and services. This must be done in such a way that best meets the needs of our constituents while holding a line on the precious tax dollars. In addition to serving as second vice chair on the county board, I serve on several committees and boards consisting of the Administrative Review Board, the Executive Committee, Human Service Board, which I chair, the Public Works Board, the Transportation Coordinating Committee, the Aging and Disability Resource Centers of Adams, Green Lake, Waushara counties, and the CAP Services Board, which serves Marquette, Outagamie, Portage, Waupaca, and Waushara counties. And thank you all for coming. It's kind of nice to see a group of students in front of me since it hasn't been that way for about 20 years. And I did teach previously in Wild Rose and in Watoma. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Weddy. Mr. King, you're next.
Hello, my name is Pat King. I'm a District 8 supervisor. I represent the city of Watoma. I've been on the board, I think, 7 years. I've served on the Board of Health, Human Service Board, Land, Water, and Education Committee, Library Board for the city of Watoma, Planning and Zoning committees, CAP Service Board, and I'm on the Planning and Evaluation Committee for that board. I'm also a TIF representative for the county, and I serve on 4 lake management districts, Lake Alpine, Lake Irrigami, Johns Lake, and Little Hills Lake. I'm also a alderman in the city of Watoma, and I also want to put a plug in for my employer. We're looking for people to apply for jobs, and a lot of you would be good candidates, so please come and fill out an application. Thank you.
Tell them where you work.
Stone Ridge.
Okay, thank you, Mr. King.
Yep.
Mr. Peterman.
Hi, my name is George Peterman, and I represent District 9. This is my 1-year anniversary month of being on the county board. I was elected last April. District 9 composes of Deerfield, all of Deerfield, parts of Richford, parts of the town of Watoma. Primary committees that I sit on are Land, Water, Education, which also allows me to serve on 4 different Lake District committees. That'd be Pine, Fish, Marl, and the Upper White River Lake Districts. I'm on the Zoning Committee. I'm on 3 different library committees. I'm on the Waushara Library Committee. I serve also for Winnifox, which covers our whole library, I guess, district, including Winnebago, Marquette, Fond du Lac, Green Lake, and Waushara. And I'm also on the Hancock Library Board. And then I also serve on Buildings and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Peterman. Mr. Kirchner.
I had a little story I was going to tell you, but we'll leave it go for another day. My name is Mark Kirchner from the west end of the county. Take care of Richford, part of it, then with the town of Hancock, village of Hancock, town of Coloma, and the village of Coloma. The committees I serve on are public safety, executive, personnel, buildings and grounds, parks and highway, LEPC, and also on the library board in Coloma. I've been town chairman for 38 years in Coloma. If there's any one of you over there that would like to move to Coloma and take the job, it's open. That's pretty much everything. So, that's about all I can say.
Thank you, Mr. Kirchner. And I'm Donna Collada. I've been on the board 22 years, and the last 3 terms I have served as the chairman of the board. Some of my committees include Public Works, which includes the highway and parks and solid waste. I'm on Public Safety, and that's one of my favorites, I'm just saying. And I'm on Executive, Personnel, Buildings and Grounds, Department of Workforce Development. Then I'm also on East Central Planning with Mr. Tim. I am part of the Library Services Committee, and also I represent Plainfield Library, and LEPC. In my area, I'm in District 7, and that includes all of the town of Dakota and part of the town of Marion. So I am very glad to have you here. Okay, next we are gonna go to public comments. These are gonna be questions from the students. Now, when we have public comments, normally, we have public comments from our constituents. We are not allowed to answer any of those questions. Today, however, we are taking comments or questions from the students, and we are going to be able to answer the questions. So first of all, we have Harley Werner. Harley, I'm assuming, did I murder your name or was that okay? Okay, Harley, and you are from Wild Rose High School. Welcome, Harley. Fire away.
Okay. I have 3 questions that I sort of branched off of what they have on this. Was it difficult to run for your positions? I don't know what positions exactly you
I
got.
can answer that. I previously, before we moved out to the Mount Morris area, I lived in the city of Watoma, and I was on the city council and served the last several years as president of the city council. And I moved out to the Mount Morris area, and I was still teaching and too busy, obviously, to get loosed for daytime meetings and so on. But when I retired, I decided I want to give something back to the community, and I decided to run for county board. I didn't realize at that point in time that I needed to take out nomination papers in December and circulate them and have them turned in by the end of December with at least 20 signatures of certified voters in the county. And so I decided to run as a write-in candidate instead. So I prepared a letter and mailed out, I think, 425 separately addressed envelopes to constituents in my district. I was really surprised about how many of those constituents had been students of mine at one time, either in Wild Rose or Watoma. And I was happy to get on the county board. Had no competition that year, so it was pretty easy. I even got one vote for Wild Rose School Board, and I don't even live in their district. So it wasn't bad, and I've enjoyed it ever since.
Very good. Would anyone else like to field that? I know when I ran, the first time I ran against someone who was presently on the board, and you know, you have to get out there and let people know that you're running and what things that are important to you and find out what's important to them. Then at that time we were a 21-member board, and so we had some people on our board that wanted it reduced, and it was reduced to 11. So at that time, we had to run against people that were already on the board. And it was fun because you want to get out there and, you know, be competitive. And as it happened, all 4 of the gentlemen that wanted the board smaller lost their elections. So, but here we are with 11 members, and that's why we all have so many committees, because we're dividing it among 11. Thank you for your question.
Is this a career for most of you, or did you have another job or occupation in mind?
I think for most of us, we have other activities, and we've all had previous jobs or current jobs that we work. So everything we have to do for county board has to sort of balance out with not only our work schedule, but our home schedules as well. So, and that's why it's important when you make a decision like this, talk to your family, make sure they're on board with it, because it's gonna take time away from them as well. But yeah, it's just about finding a balance.
Thank you, Mr. Peterman. Anybody else, Everett?
I'm
I
sure
mean,
that's
Mr.
why,
Exon.
I'm sure that's why there's three of us aren't here today, is because they're working at their regular jobs.
Right, thank you.
When did you decide to follow this career choice? Or, I guess, just side choice, I guess?
Everett, Mr. Eckstein.
In 1989, I ran for town board and got elected. It was a hostile takeover, kind of. But what it amounted to was, I really enjoyed that. It was local, grassroots government. You're the one they call if you take their mailbox down or something like that. And when the opening came up, like Dennis, I ran unopposed. First I asked my wife, you know, can I have this time, because it's gonna take time, and she said, go for it, and I did, and got elected, and like I said, I've been here ever since.
I could,
Mr. King.
I first started running. I ran for mayor of the city of Watoma when I was 19 years old. I did lose, but it's been in my blood ever since. I wanted to serve people in the community, and that's a good way to do it, I thought. So I took some time off before I ran again, and I ran for the county board and city. And I ran for mayor again when I was a little older, and I did win, so.
Anyone else want to add? I have to tell you, it's very interesting. You know, you really, when I first ran, I thought, well, I'll stay, 10 years or 12 years and that'll be it. But it's so interesting. I think I enjoy it. And that's why I'm still here. At that, and nobody runs against me. That helps.
That's all I got.
Thank you very much for
Thank you.
asking
Thank
your
you.
questions. We appreciate it. Next, we are going to hear from Joey Wheeler. Come on, Joey. Come on down.
So I'm from Tri-County, obviously.
All right.
So I'm going to do the questions that you have written down for me because I don't really know what to say. Okay, so what stands out as a defining moment or outstanding memory for you guys? It's a tough one.
Okay.
One of 'em.
I'll go.
Oh, okay.
One of the defining moments for me was when we decided to get a canine for the county, and Sheriff Zolke was the first canine handler. We went out and did fundraising because the board did not have that money in the budget, so we went to Crime Stoppers, and our Crime Stoppers group raised the money for the dog, and we've been raising money for the dogs ever since. It's still not a big budget item in our budget because Crime Stoppers takes care of that. But that's a defining moment for me when we were asked, or we finally got permission from the board to go ahead and have the canines. I think they're a great asset to the county and to the sheriff's department.
Super cool, super cool.
Dennis, did you have something?
Yes, I was going to mention, several years ago, when I was on the Board of Health, I also served as co-president for Wisconsin Local Health Departments and Boards, which is a statewide organization. And at that point in time, that organization, along with our local Board of Health, was pushing for a smoke-free business place. And I got a lot of static from one of my employers at the time. I was working in a supper club, and that individual didn't want us to go smoke-free because he thought it'd be definitely a detriment to the business, in which it never was. And that, I think, was a defining moment for me. I also served on a accreditation committee. That was also a statewide committee, which encouraged boards of health and so on to become accredited through state guidelines and so on. And our Washare County Board of Health, I believe, was the 4th Board of Health in the county and the state to become accredited. So those are defining moments for me.
Anyone else? Okay, next question.
Next question I got is, okay, so what has been the most surprising for you in your position?
I think as a new member, so I'm a year in, I think the amount of involvement that is actually required for being on county board, you know, I think a lot of people are well aware of the primary committees, but not so well aware of the subcommittees that are also involved. And so it is a large time commitment, and I don't think that should be underestimated at all.
Anyone else? We'll go on to the next question.
That's all my questions I got. So,
That's it?
yep.
Okay, I thought you had a whole list of them
Yeah,
there.
no, that's all that. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you for your
Joey.
time.
Appreciate you participating. Okay, next we have Jalon M. Zacharias. Come on up, Jalen.
I only have one question today, but I'd just like to thank
Who do you represent? What school?
Wythe-Rose. I just want to say thank you for your taking the time for both of our schools to come here and get to learn a little bit about our courts and stuff like that. So, my question is, how is Washougal County fighting the growing opioid epidemic and problem that's ravaging, I think, neighboring counties as well too?
Do you want
I
to,
think
okay,
I think they
Yes.
should ask our sheriff.
you want to ask the sheriff? Yes. We are well aware of the problems that we have. One of the things that we are participating in, and we have grants from the state to do the, I know I call it the drug court. What do you? TAD court, okay. Come on, Wally, you're on the TAD court.
We also have a task force with one officer that's assigned to narcotics. So that is how we're dealing with that issue. So it'll be something in the forefront that we want to have officers to help with that. So that is always something that we're looking at, and we may look, we should add another officer. That's something to look at.
We also do twice a year, I think, we do a drug take-back. And that's where people can come and if they've had a prescription, haven't used the whole thing, bring it back and we get rid of it, so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands as such. And, gosh, I think we're really working hard to combat the drug issues, that we have in Washougal County, because we know we have them. It's just a matter of doing the things that we need to do to combat it. And I think the sheriff's department does a great job. The courts do a great job. And, you know, I every so often we have a graduation from the TAD court, and it's always really heart-rending to see how hard these people work, you know, to kick their habit. And so that's why we continue with that, with the TAD program. So, and apparently, we must be doing okay because the state gave us a second grant to continue the work of that at the TAD court. Do any of the rest of you have anything?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, next we're going to go to reports and presentations, County Administrator's Monthly Report.
Well, I know you young ladies and gentlemen just heard me speak downstairs for about 10 minutes, so I'm not going to belabor you with that again. I know the board appreciates that as well. I did hear what Supervisor King said, and I commend him for doing some recruitment work for his employer. So I figured if he can do it, I'm going to do it too. So hopefully, I know EMS Director Donaldson. I don't know if he's in the room. I know he was promoting you to, or encouraging you to get the parental consent form to go on a ride-along with our ambulance crews, and hopefully consider whether or not you want to make that your career. But as I discussed in the last hour downstairs, Waushara County provides a number of services to the public. It isn't just EMS. And not that I want you to come here as a full-time employee now. I want you to get your education completed, but that will happen soon enough. So the pitch I made for you to stay in the community or come back to the community after your education also applies to being employed by Waushara County. All of you are public-minded, all of you care about your community, and this is a great way to put that into action. The only other thing I want to talk about is just 2 events, and again, it's promoting Waushara County and the things we do. Tomorrow is Blue Ribbon Kids Day at Parkside School here in Watoma. That begins at 8:30 in the morning. That's an event for families and children. If you're not going to go, then encourage youngsters or siblings or neighbors to attend that as well. There's a number of great educational and fun activities. And also, next Saturday, August 13th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., across the street in the Public Health Department that you all visited today, your county Public Health Department is offering a free skin cancer screening clinic to everyone here in the county. I know we get out there and we have fun in the sun in the summer, but there is a risk of skin cancer from exposure to solar UV rays. So talk that up as well. We provide these things because, as I said earlier, we want to serve all of you as residents of Waushara County, and we want to make this county a better place to live. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Civic. Next, we are going to hear from Sheriff Wally Zilke, and he will present the Sheriff's Department Annual Report.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Walton. Thanks for coming today. So, obviously, kind of great lead-in for what are we doing about heroin epidemic. So, Ryan's my IT guy. He's going to run the clicker. Lieutenant McCarroll is my patrol lieutenant. Chief Deputy Olson is sick today. Otherwise, I would have him here also. The jail administrator, she's still at the jail, taking care of business over there, and that's Heather Whitty. And courthouse security is Deputy Dan Straczynski. Anybody know any of those people?
I do.
Great. Anybody interested in law enforcement by chance? We're recruiting? Raise those hands high, guys. I want to see your faces. Thank you. So, we have some, Ryan, if you go to the next one, we have 55 full-time positions for part-time courthouse security positions. 2018, we had, wasn't the sheriff in 2018. I took office in 2019, January 7th. The major projects we had going on in 2018 were communications tower upgrade. They started that project. I'm gonna let that come through that there. Okay. Did everybody hear me okay? I don't need the microphone. No. Continue to work on a single point entry to upgrades to courthouse security. That is the biggest thing that I see right now that is, it's not the largest thing that we're working on, because when it comes to dollars and cents, the communication tower upgrade is probably the most expensive, but the single point entry is something we're trying to do to upgrade the safety and security of the courthouse. New mobile radios for the squad cars, new portable radios for the staff, and that I have here also with all the other staff, tactical shields for the patrol cars, patrol staff, and upgrading the jail intercom system. That's all expensive items at the end of the day. Taxpayer dollars, what pays for that? Drug investigations last year, we did 31 search warrants. That's a high number, I would think. Drugs seized: heroin, methamphetamines, marijuana, Suboxone, oxycodone, crystal meth, LSD, and cocaine. We spent $11,584 in controlled buys for narcotics in this county. Kind of a weird number, right? We're paying for narcotics and take them off the street. That's how we put those people in jail. Controlled buys. That's 100% reimbursed through the Magdalene. The Drug Task Force is awarded grants to fight that heroin opioid and meth epidemic. $200,000 one was $50,000 each, and totaling $200,000. We are seeing a rise in meth in the area. It's alarming. This one's a little harder to see. Felony arrests obviously are up now in 2018. Misdemeanor arrests are just a little bit higher, and the investigations are just a little bit higher also. That's the Central Wisconsin Drug Task Force. That is our county and basically all the counties around it. They all participate in that. Taken off the street, 556.11 grams in cocaine. Meth, you guys can see the number. Meth is going up. 2014, barely anything going on. 2018, staggering numbers, right guys? Honestly. Heroin, up again in 17. 2015 was big, but that's up but down. So, next slide. Those are numbers from the Sheriff's Department numbers per call for each individual department, Watoma PD, Red Granite, Plainfield, Coloma, Wild Rose, Hancock, and the State Patrol. So you kind of see those numbers. Who takes the most amount of calls is the Sheriff's Department. Average law calls per day in 2018, 24 and a half calls basically. So we're a little bit down there. We do paper service, and the total paper served in 2018 are 611. That number is down from 17, but the fees are up, $18,230. Total call volumes in 2018, 50,592 calls. The average calls per day is 139. That's a lot. That phone rings a lot, right? Average call per day, yeah. Administrative calls in 2018, 44,455. Yeah, my phone does ring a lot. 2018, total 911 calls were 6,137. The average calls for that were 17 per day. And EMD calls were 1,685 and 4.6 calls per day. So we're a little bit higher. It's kind of staying about the same for those. Total inmates booked in 2018 were a little bit more at 1,321 from 2017, and a considerably amount more males than females in 2018 and 2017. So it seems like more males are getting arrested at 991 and 330 females. Types of charges booked in the jail, the felonies and misdemeanors are the same. Like I said, in 2018, 179, and misdemeanor calls, and bookings are 759. The average daily population in our jail is 91 inmates. That's up again from last year, up 9 more inmates on an average. And our busy days are always Monday and Tuesday, and the busy times are in the afternoon. Typically in the afternoons are our busy times. Traffic crashes are down a little bit, and you'll see the number of stops coming up, and that maybe will explain something. We had an initiative, OWI grants and seatbelt enforcement grants, so we participated in those last year, so you'll see some of the traffic stops are up. But the traffic crashes, like I said, are down, and property damage crashes were 500, and injury crashes were 77. We had 5 fatal crashes in the county. You'll see the graph, and that's kind of a drop. Citations, 1,702 citations for traffic violations. Ordinances were 186, and DNR citations were 6. In 2016, you see we had 24. That's when we had an active boat patrol. So we were on the water quite a bit more then. Traffic citations. That's just another graph on traffic stops. The numbers kind of rising up with the separate grants and task force that we're involved with. Sex offenses for the investigations are 54, up again this year. And happy to say we had no robberies in 2018. You see the Investigations for burglaries, 26, a little bit lower than last year, but still enough. Those are basically property crimes. Assaults, 57. And a lot of those numbers in 2018 are assaults to our officers, jailers, and correction staff. 2017 we had 61, and 2018 we had 57. There's another graph kind of showing it's down. Investigations again for suicide threats in 2018 were 46, a little bit lower, not very much, and suicide attempts were 23. Those are all very serious falls. Domestic abuse, a drop again from 2017, 58, and disorderly conduct arrests were 191. We're up from 2017 for 172. Once again, another graph kind of showing the numbers, a little bit of a drop, along with disorderly conducts. Agency assist for investigations, that would be us assisting other agencies for 287. In 2017, they were 315. And emergency detentions, I got that number from Ruth, 56. That was up again. And that was those suicide threats and those. We investigated 14 missing persons. We extracted information on 115 cell phones and tablets during the investigations. And we did, Zach Gunderson is a DRE, and he did 14 drug recognition examinations. And that's number 2 in the state. That's an amazing number. When we looked it up, and we actually called Zach for that, and he said, I am number 2 in the state with 14 exams. So, and right now, I know that the Green Lake County deputy has, Ryan, remember that number? We were on the phone? The Green Lake County deputy, I think it was Brian, is at 32 already for the year. That's a huge number. So, anybody have any questions? I went through it kind of fast, but.
Okay, thank you very much. Who has a question?
There's a young lady back there, had her hand up.
Is that right? You sure? Well, ask it.
If you were to, when you got elected, if you were not elected the next time, would you still have a job at the police department? Or would you have to, reapply for a job?
If I was not elected this time,
Yeah.
I would have a job. Yep. That was easy. Anybody else?
Thank you, Ollie, or Sheriff Zolke.
Thank you.
Very good. Let's take one resolution. We're gonna do, we have consideration and possible action on the following resolutions and ordinances. We'll do the first one and then we'll dismiss you because I know you have to go back, okay? First, we have resolution number 09-4-19. This is a resolution modifying and increasing the number of hours of zoning and land conservation administrative secretary. We have a motion by Mr. Exine, second by Mr. King, and we will do a roll call vote if there are no questions. We'll go with the roll call vote. Okay?
Mr. Weddy,
Yes.
Mrs. Colada,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Peterman,
Yes.
Mr. Lauer is absent, sorry, Mr. Kirschner,
Yes.
Mr. Piaski,
Yes.
Mr. Tim,
Yes.
and Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. It's been nice having you, and I like your questions. And we'll see you again, I hope.
I only wish Wally might have addressed it in the past, but I could tell that they wanted to get moving on something. Address the positive or negative trends that they're seeing in all of the schools. Oh, yeah. Got a whole group of students here, and, are seen like a decrease in journal. Or have we seen an increase? Yeah. One school is sophomores, one school is juniors. I recognize a few of them.
Take care of that foot.
Are they all a certain class, or is it just
Just, I don't think it's the whole class. I think it's,
Okay, next we have resolution number 10-04-19 and National County Government Month, April of 2019. Connect the unconnected.
Move to approve.
Motion by Supervisor Weddy,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Supervisor Peterman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, next we have proclamations. First one is recognizing April 14th through the 20th, 2019 as National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. Motion by Supervisor Eckstein,
I'll second.
second by Supervisor Peterman. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Next, we have designating April 8 through 12, 2019 as Tornado and Severe Weather Awareness Week. Motion by Supervisor Kirschner, second by Supervisor Piaski. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Our next meeting is gonna be Monday, April 22nd at 1:45 again. This will be County Government Day for the Watoma High School students. And do you have any suggestions for future agenda items?
Can I just make a question? Are these students that are interested in government, or are they students that are just in those classes, or?
I think they're in the classes,
Yes, so
aren't
they're
they?
they're in government or civics classes at this time. So today we had sophomores from Tri-County and they were juniors from Wild Rose. And then they will be juniors from Watoma. And those were the suggestions from the schools themselves as the most applicable.
So I'm happy to hear that they have civic classes still.
No kidding,
'Cause it's,
yeah. I agree.
and it's a good response of kids.
I thought so. I thought they did a great job. They were very, well behaved. We didn't, except one got sick, but I don't think it was the pizza. I think he,
It was not the pizza. I want everyone to be very nice to Marie, our custodian.
oh yeah, no kidding. Yeah, she had to take care of that. So, yes, Larry.
I just wonder if instead of having 2 meetings in 1 month, if they couldn't have been invited to come in another month?
Well, this is the month for county government, or national and county government months. That's why we did 2 in April.
Yeah, and I think the schools have put months of planning into this, so
Yeah.
I don't think they can rearrange their schedules. I know my wife's chaperoning the next one, so,
Yeah.
And, you'll have to behave, won't you?
no.
And I'll also add that the representatives from the school district served on the planning committee for this event.
Yeah.
And for the one we'll have on the 22nd.
Yeah, but I think the main reason is because April is county government month. So that would be the only reason that I know. Anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Eckstein, second by Tim. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
I will also tell you that there is, in case you're hungry, there's some pizza in the first floor break room. I don't judge. Just leave me off.
Are you
Oh,
Yeah.